Natural disasters are truly terrifying events that are not controllable. What exactly is a natural disaster? It is defined as a major adverse event resulting from natural processes of the earth. Examples include floods, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tsunamis, and other geologic processes. They can have monumental effects on societies, tearing apart families and causing years of rebuilding. There have been countless natural disasters that occurred in history. Some of the worst ones have been the most devastating. In this talk, I will cover information about 4 different kinds of natural disasters: hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, and tsunamis. A hurricane that caused an immense amount of damage was Hurricane Katrina. It hit the Gulf Coast in 2005 and was the deadliest hurricane to hit that location. Out of all the hurricanes that have hit the U.S., Hurricane Katrina was ranked 6th. Extreme property destruction resulted from this disaster, and it created $81 billion worth of damage. A major earthquake zone is located in California at the San Andreas Fault Line. People that live near this fault experience earthquakes many times in their lives. A particularly damaging one took place on April 18, 1906, in San Francisco. The expected death toll from this earthquake was expected to be 700 deaths. In reality, however, the number of fatalities is expected to be 3 or 4 times greater than the expected number. Most of these deaths occurred in San Francisco, but 189 more deaths were reported elsewhere. Even though this was a truly devastating disaster, valuable scientific knowledge was derived from this earthquake. Volcanoes are just as nerve-wracking as hurricanes and earthquakes. A major volcanic eruption took place in Santorini, which is located in Greece. Santorini is an archipelago, but it used to be one single island. An archipelago is a group of islands. It was blown apart by the volcano eruption in 1610 BC. The eruption was rated around a 7 out of 8 on the VEI scale. This stands for the Volcanic Explosivity Index. The eruption did not only affect the island, it affected an entire civilization. It weakened the Minoan civilization of Crete. This eruption may even have inspired the myth of Atlantis. The word tsunami translates in English to harbor wave. A massive tsunami that has occurred was in Sumatra, Indonesia. It hit on December 26, 2004. The cause for the tsunami was a 9.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Sumatra. The earthquake hit at a depth of 30 kilometers. The fault zone that caused it was 1,300 kilometers long, and it vertically displaced the ocean floor by many meters. The impending tsunami was as tall as 50 meters, which is approximately 164 feet. The water reached 5 kilometers inland and is the most widely recorded tsunami. When it hit, places around the world reported a rise in wave height. Places like the United States, the UK, and even Antarctica. There was an estimated $10 billion worth of damage, and around 230,000 people were reported dead. There are many ways for people to respond to these natural disasters and decrease the death toll. In the case of hurricanes, they are usually predicted days to weeks in advance. This gives communities time to prepare for the disaster. However, knowing they are coming might generate fear and anxiety. There is never absolute certainty about the exact location of where the hurricane will occur. When it strikes, victims experience intense rain, thunder, lightning, and wind. For children, the storms may cause panic reactions and they can experience emotional and physical exhaustion. After an earthquake hits, aftershocks may occur. There is no clearly defined endpoint of an earthquake. These continued tremors might increase psychological distress in those that experience them. There is no immediate preparation with earthquakes because they occur with virtually no warning at all. This fact limits the ability of disaster victims to make the psychological adjustments that can make the coping process possible. The lack of knowing when an earthquake will occur also lessens feelings of controllability. Survivors of earthquakes might have to cope with memories of the destruction. For example, memories of the rumbling of aftershocks, sounds of explosions, smells of toxic fumes and smoke, and tastes of soot, smoke, and rubber. Volcanoes not only split apart islands, but also produce gases that are not healthy for human intake. They produce ash, toxic gases, and flash floods of hot water. They also release lava flows and fast-moving flows of hot gases and debris called pyroclastic flows. Some dangers from volcano eruptions can be determined before they take place, while others can erupt with little or no knowledge of the impending explosion. Those that live in volcanic areas should pay attention to warnings from local authorities to know how to stay safe during an eruption. Australia is an area that can be hit with tsunamis. They have land-threat tsunami warnings. These warnings are issued for low-lying coastal regions under the threat of dangerous ocean conditions and flooding. The events the people are warned about are potential hazards from major coastal flooding, dangerous waves, and strong rips and currents. If a person's area is under tsunami threat, they are advised to move to higher ground, specifically 10 meters above sea level or 1 kilometer inland. Another way to respond to natural disasters is through different coping mechanisms. Crisis response team members will identify students who experience the risk factors of a natural disaster in some situations. These students' statuses are then closely monitored. Depending on how affected they are, they may require long-term coping assistance because of the trauma they experienced. Traumas that they go through may include threats to their physical safety and thinking they might die when a disaster strikes. They can also report that they were very upset when it hit. These students might have lost their house or belongings as a result of the natural disaster or had to relocate after it hit. Lastly, these students might have had to attend schools after the disaster that had double sessions, multiple schedule changes, or a lot of the disruptions. These are a few ways to respond to these specific natural disasters, and hopefully in the future, more effective things can be done to make people safer.